Okay, now in this segment, we are going to start our work on improving the quality of the walk. There are certain things there that I'm not um, sure yet about, and I'm looking at again going back. Of course, we have to add details. I haven't done the hands or fingers or any of that. The feet also can have extra details, but I'm still kind of looking at the overall and trying to get a sense of smoothness and make it feel more organic. And one of those goes back to the feet and the hip and all that. So if I look at my walk there, I see that my knee still shakes a little bit. That is a big challenge many times when we're using this technique, because of course for that, and that's happening when the knee arrives at this maximum strain, uh, you know distance or stretchness there. So it gives me the effect of shaking because it goes up and goes back. This is the shaking effect that I get. So that is partially because, again, we are dealing with the roll and we're dealing with the hip rotation and translating Y to make the leg stretch up very long. You see here the leg, how really, really going up right there. So I'm gonna try to, and I see this other leg. This one is not doing as badly. So there are things there that make me wonder. Maybe some of my numbers are a bit off. Not sure why one of the legs is more than the other one. Um, but I'm going to allow it to relax a tiny bit more by, especially this leg that is giving me here in this section, the leg that is on the ground right now, is giving me a little bit of that shaking. So I'm gonna try to bring my graph editor and look at my translating Y. This is what my translating Y is doing. We already played with this a little bit earlier. We modify a little bit of the translation in Y for the leg when the leg's in maximum um, um, length. I'm gonna try to. I can see here my leg is doing a little. It's doing it a little bit on this one. So if you play back, it's not as bad on the left leg compared to the right leg. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna try bringing my translating Y a tiny bit lower. Just gonna go down a tiny bit more, just to help it, so that I relax both legs, so they never go completely straight. There is a little bit of that stretching going on there still. And I think that is doing some of it. Let me just play back. It's not as bad, but it's doing a little bit of it still. The other thing I'm going to try to do is see if I can um, I'm gonna bring down. I'm gonna try one more time. I'll bring it down a tiny bit more. See if I can make her really notice. Make it noticeable. That is a little bit better. She's not as snappy on the knee, so is helping with the shaking really again. And she doesn't feel that she is kind of walking with her legs so stretched. So that softens it a little bit. Now, the other thing that I wanted to look at is the foot itself. How is the foot doing? And we had already changed the roll value of the foot. If you remember, we moved the roll value here a little bit earlier so that the foot started bending a bit sooner. Um, and I think that is making Um, that is making a little bit of an but I want you to pay attention to the foot when the foot is rolling on the ground. So if I play back, you see that the foot kind of quickly snaps there. When it bends a bit too fast. I think that I can let the foot, and I can see it on the other foot too, when the other foot lands, and then let it see it when it bends forward. I'm going to select this one here. When it bends around frame 16, how kind of snaps to that bending point there. So it's very, very fast. So that snapping is kind of not helping with the knee giving me a little bit of a shake. And that's all about the roll. And the roll again, we already did it. We moved one keyframe. You can see the frame here. We moved it earlier one frame. Actually, it's this one that we moved earlier here one frame from 19 to 18, allowing the roll to take effect a bit sooner. So that makes it a bit easier for the foot. Of course, my roll has to maintain from 13 to 16 because the foot is landing, but I'm going to actually push the roll a tiny bit earlier again so that I can let it, even if just one frame makes a huge difference, so that the foot start releasing a bit more relaxed. You can see how it eases in and out a bit more softly. I'm going to try to do that. Let me see that one here. Just making sure that I'm doing it as many times, as many places I need it to be. I need to also do it here because I guess here is already done. Let's see. Yeah, let me do it on the other foot. I'm gonna do it on the other foot again. Is when it lands from here to here, my roll, I'm gonna move the roll one frame earlier, and that is again before the foot start, the rolls are going up, or the heel going up, so that relaxes it, and that does take care of it, I think. Let's see, let's play it. So that makes the foot a bit softer. It's just very, very subtle, but it's making it easier. The other thing I'm gonna do here is she's stomping her foot when she's going down. You see, she like stumps, stump, stump, stump. And although I like the suggestion, but she's not marching. At least not my perception of her walk is not marching. So you see that's happening when the foot is going down. She's really going down very heavily. It's a very drastic drop in just a few frames. That gives me the sense of stumping. So what I'm gonna do here is on the frames where in both feet, I need to bring them down so that when she goes up, she doesn't go that high up and then goes down this way. Also, is that the foot here, the translating Z, is a bit too far back, so I'm gonna try to maybe bring it forward a tiny bit. Let me start by bringing down the foot a tiny bit, translating Y there. I'm gonna just give it a value. It's 31 right now. Let me make it maybe 28, maybe 26. I'm gonna just say that is that, and I'm going to do, so she goes higher here when the foot goes up and then slightly goes down there. So let me do it on the other one. Again, the value went to 26. So let me do the other foot. So I'm gonna, she goes up, translating Y here, and then we say this value here goes to 26. Oh, not to 26. That was me too much. 26. Okay. So if I play her back, she's not as drastically stumping her foot. I haven't done much with tangencies, and I could do some of the deal or the things that people do. For example, if I want her to be stumping, would be to change the tangency here to go from a linear, from a automatic tangency to linear, so that she would be a bit, coming down a bit sharper, right? It's not my goal. I want her to come down and softly place her foot on the ground and try to let her be a bit more relaxed about it. Let's see my roll there. What's my roll over there? Gently placing the foot on the ground. So let me just play it back there. So she's a bit softer and a little bit easier to look at her feet. Still a bit rigid, but I think she's getting a little bit better there. I'm gonna see another way of kind of making the walk and see if I can make it a bit more organic looking. Right now she feels just doing okay, but I'm gonna try to get her root to maybe be a bit bouncier, as if she feels her weight a tiny bit more when she's landing. So right now her land, it's okay, but I don't feel she feels her weight. She's not a heavy character, but I would like her to sink down a tiny bit more when she comes down before she goes back up. So let me do that. So what I'm gonna do there, I'm gonna just use my graph editor. In my graph editor, I'm going to play with the translate Y, and you see how she comes down and then she goes rapidly go back up. So I'm gonna try to here see what happens, and it is if I can, in my frame before she start going back up, I'm in the next frame, I'm gonna let her sink a tiny bit more. See how I can make her sink a tiny bit more. I'm going down. I try to keep her in the Y value when I just make her down to negative A11. So let me just go back to negative 11 in the next frame in translated Y. Notice again, I'm just putting a keyframe translated Y. I'm not putting keyframes on other ones. So I'm just adding a little extra. Actually, the previous one was negative 11. I'm going to do that, just making sure that my values are correct. She's negative 11 here. I'm going to make her sink actually below negative 11. I'm going to negative 12. And then keyframe there. I want her to sink a tiny bit lower there. That might be a little bit much, but well, let's see it. She comes down and then catches up. So I'm going to do the same thing on this other frame here, negative 12. And keyframe there. So let me just play back. So it has a little bit of a extra feel of weight. So she comes up and down, and she sinks a bit more when she comes down. Again, if you have a heavier character, you might want to that extra keyframe to be a lot lower, so she really shows her weight when she's retrieving it, right? Let's play this back one more time. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there. Increment and save my file, and we'll just continue in the next video.